Hannah, you didn't bring anything again? Not even a pie from the grocery store? My sister Lauren's voice cut across the Thanksgiving table like a knife. Aunt Carol laughed. Well, she's been busy with her... What is it now, dog walking? The whole table erupted. I smiled. Because this year I had something they weren't expecting. My name's Hannah Bergman. I'm 24 years old, and for as long as I can remember, I've been the invisible daughter. I work as a freelance tutor and part-time assistant at a community center. Not glamorous. Not Instagram-worthy. Just honest work helping kids get into college and families find resources. My sister Lauren? She's 27. Real estate agent, designer clothes, luxury car. Her whole life is a highlight reel, and my parents eat it up. They've always been proud of her. Me? I'm the afterthought. I didn't go to a big-name school. I live in a small rental apartment. I dress simply. I don't post about my life online. For years, I felt like I had to prove my worth to them. I just never knew how. But here's the thing they didn't see. I wasn't flashy. I didn't have the car or the clothes. But I had something they never saw coming. If you've ever been pushed aside by family, subscribe right now and tell me where you're watching from. Because what happened next changed everything. I arrived at my parents' house that Thursday around noon. Mom opened the door and gave me a quick hug. Then she stepped back and looked me up and down. Did you at least dress up a little? I glanced down at my sweater and jeans. Clean, comfortable, normal. I thought this was just family, I said. She sighed. Well, yes, but still. Before I could respond, Lauren's car pulled into the driveway. 20 minutes late. She stepped out in a cream-colored designer coat, heels clicking on the pavement, sunglasses perched perfectly on her head. Mom's face lit up. There she is! Dad rushed out from the living room. Aunt Carol appeared in the doorway. Everyone swarmed her like she was a celebrity. I stood there holding a grocery bag with wine and the handmade photo album I'd spent months putting together. No one noticed. Inside, Dad immediately started bragging. Lauren just closed on her third condo investment this quarter, he announced to Uncle Ron. She's got a real head for business. Lauren waved him off with false modesty. Dad, stop. But she was glowing. During pre-dinner drinks, Aunt Carol cornered me in the kitchen. So, Hannah, still doing the babysitting thing? I set down my glass carefully. I'm a tutor, and I work at the community center. She waved her hand dismissively. Right. Well, someone has to do those jobs. The room laughed. Lauren appeared beside me, her voice dripping with fake sweetness. Han, if you ever need help with rent or anything, just ask. I know it's tight for you. My hands started shaking. I didn't answer. When we sat down for dinner, I was placed at the far end of the table, away from my parents, away from the conversation. Lauren sat at Mom's right hand. Before we ate, Mom stood and raised her glass. I just want to say how grateful I am for this family, and especially for Lauren, who's worked so hard and accomplished so much this year. We're so proud of you, sweetheart. She didn't even glance my way. Everyone clinked glasses. Then Lauren stood, grinning. Actually, I have a little surprise for you guys. She pulled out an envelope and handed it to Mom. Mom opened it, gasped, and started crying. A luxury weekend getaway? Lauren, this is too much. Dad leaned over, eyes wide. That's incredible, honey. Lauren beamed. Then she looked directly at me. Maybe next year you can chip in too, Han. I nodded. My jaw clenched so hard it hurt. After the toast, Mom and Lauren disappeared into the kitchen to finish up. I stood. Need any help? Mom waved me off without looking. It's fine, sweetie. Lauren and I have a system. I sat back down in the living room. Uncle Ron turned to me. So Hannah, when are you going to get a real career going? I looked at my dad. He just shrugged. She's figuring it out. No defense, no support. I stared at the wall and said nothing. Dinner itself was worse. Mom announced we'd go around the table sharing what we're thankful for. Lauren went first. I'm thankful for my success, my amazing team, and my incredible support system. She smiled at our parents. Aunt Carol went next, then Dad, then Uncle Ron. Finally, Mom. She placed her hand over her heart. I'm thankful for at least one daughter who made us proud. She paused. I mean, both daughters, in different ways. Aunt Carol snorted. Yeah, one pays the bills, one tries. The table erupted in laughter. My face burned. When it was my turn, I said quietly, I'm thankful for new opportunities. Lauren smirked. Like what? A new tutoring client? More laughter. I gripped my fork and stayed silent. Then came the gifts. I pulled out the photo album I'd made. It was full of family memories. Photos from our childhood. Handwritten notes about what each moment meant to me. Dates, captions, little inside jokes. I'd spent 3 months on it. Mom flipped through it in about 10 seconds. Oh, that's sweet. Lauren leaned over, very crafty. Did you find this on Pinterest? Aunt Carol frowned. I thought we agreed no homemade gifts this year. I blinked. No one told me that. Lauren tilted her head. We have a family group chat, Han. Oh, wait. You left it because you said it was too much drama. That wasn't true. They'd removed me from it. Dad cleared his throat and changed the subject to football. I excused myself to the bathroom. I gripped the sink and stared at my reflection. My chest was tight. My throat burned. But I steadied my breathing. Just a few more hours, then they'll see. I walked back to the table with my head high and my face calm. What they didn't know was that 3 weeks earlier I'd received an email that changed everything. I'd applied to the National Education Fellowship Program. It's one of the most prestigious graduate programs in the country. Full ride scholarship, education policy, leadership training. Over 2,000 people applied. They accepted 12. I was one of them. Full tuition covered, $45,000 a year stipend. Guaranteed job placement with a national education nonprofit after completion. The starting salary? Nearly double what Lauren makes. I didn't tell anyone. I wanted to be sure it was real. I wanted to savor it privately. But that morning, before I left for dinner, I printed the acceptance letter. I folded it carefully and tucked it into my purse. What they didn't know was that while they were laughing at my babysitting job, the most respected education foundation in the country had chosen me. After dinner, I stepped outside onto the porch. The cold air bit at my skin, but I didn't care. My phone buzzed. A text from Dr. Miles, my former professor and mentor. Did you tell them yet? I typed back. Not yet. They're too busy roasting me. His reply came instantly. Their loss. You're going to change lives, Hannah. Don't let them make you small. I felt my resolve harden. I walked back inside. As I passed the kitchen, I heard voices. Aunt Carol and my mom. Do you think she'll ever get it together? Mom sighed. I hope so. I just wish she had Lauren's drive. My fists clenched. I stepped into the living room. Lauren was showing Dad and Uncle Ron photos of her new condo on her phone. Marble countertops, she said proudly. Custom cabinets. They oohed and awed. She noticed me standing there. Don't worry, Han. You'll get there someday. Maybe start with a studio? I looked at her calmly. Maybe. She smirked. She thought she'd won. Mom came out with dessert and announced the final toast tradition. Lauren perked up. Oh, let's have everyone share their goals for next year. She went first. I'm buying a second property and maybe getting engaged. Everyone clapped. Aunt Carol, Europe trip. Dad, Early retirement thanks to our investments. Then Mom turned to me. Her eyes were full of pity. And you, sweetheart? I reached into my purse. I pulled out the folded letter. Actually, I said, I do have something to share. The room went quiet. I unfolded it slowly. My hands were completely steady now. I read aloud. Dear Ms. Hannah Bergman, we are pleased to inform you of your acceptance into the National Education Fellowship Program. Lauren interrupted. What's that? I kept reading. One of 12 recipients selected nationwide from over 2,000 applicants. Mom's face shifted. Wait, what? I looked up at them. It's a full graduate scholarship to a top-tier university. $45,000 a year stipend. Guaranteed job with a national education nonprofit after I finish. I paused. I'll be working directly with policymakers shaping education reform across the country. Aunt Carol's mouth fell open. When did this happen? 3 weeks ago, I said. I didn't say anything because I wanted to be sure. Dad leaned forward, suddenly engaged. Hannah, that's incredible. Lauren's voice was defensive. Why didn't you tell us? I looked at her. My voice was steady and firm. Because every time I've shared something I cared about, you made it sound small. That's not fair. You asked if I needed help with rent in front of everyone, I said. You called my work babysitting. Mom stood. Honey, we were just joking. No. I shook my head. You were laughing. There's a difference. I stood, holding the letter like a shield. This program chose me because of the work I've been doing. The little tutoring job you mocked? I helped 40 kids get into college in 2 years. The community center work? I built a mentorship program from scratch. Aunt Carol looked flustered. Well, we didn't know. Because you never asked. Lauren tried to recover. Han, this is amazing. I'm really happy for you. Are you? I met her eyes. Because 5 minutes ago, you were laughing at my gift. Silence fell over the table. Dad reached for the photo album. This time, he actually looked through it. He saw the care, the handwritten notes, the love I'd put into every page. Mom's eyes filled with tears. I placed the letter back in my purse. I picked up my coat. I didn't come here to embarrass anyone, I said quietly. I came because you're my family, but I'm done trying to earn your respect. I walked to the front door. Hannah, wait. I turned. There was no anger in my voice. I start the program in January. I'll send you the address if you want to visit. Lauren's voice was quiet. Finally, sincere. I'm sorry. I nodded. I know. I left. I drove home in silence, my hands steady on the wheel. That night, Dr. Miles called to check in. I told him everything. He said simply, proud of you. I felt the weight lifting off my chest. For years, I thought their approval would make me whole. But standing there, watching their faces change, it didn't feel like victory. It felt like freedom. That night, I pinned the acceptance letter to my fridge. I looked at my reflection in the window and smiled. I finally understood. I never needed their approval. I just needed my own. If you've ever had to stand up to family betrayal, hit subscribe and tell me your story. I read every single comment and I want to hear from you. Where are you watching from? Drop your location below. I always check. And if you've ever been the invisible one in your family, know this. Your worth isn't measured by their attention. Your story deserves to be heard. Share it with us. Thanks for being here. I'll see you in the next one.